Hello, everyone. Today we're going to take a minute and we're going to look at Arya's exterior searches for an entire weekend. So this was the trial that we did back in June of 2025, and it was a 3-day trial. So Arya had different levels of successes this weekend. And so I really wanted to take a minute and have you guys look at them because there's a lot of learning moments, I feel like. So one of the things that you're going to get to see is where I know I could have been a better support for her. You're also going to see some of the things that might be a challenge for you with a novice dog in a novel environment. And then also just how we try to get in the next day, right? We didn't carry what happened to us the day before into the next day, because that's something that in the past I was very prone to do. If I had a bad first day, it was really hard for me to reset. And resetting is so important, and remembering that you can reset in the moment, right? So we're going to start by looking at her Friday search for exterior. And this was her first search of the weekend. And she actually did not qualify at all this day. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm just going to pause for just a second so we can talk about this search area. So it is a small area. We've got our start line cones. The boundary is here. The boundary back here is very limited. There is a tarp right here that is being used for line of sight, but it was blowing in the wind. We had a cleaning van behind us, which was fairly loud. And our airflow was also coming kind of in the same way that Arya is headed. So I definitely think she started that way due to being an odor, but we'll see how this plays out here in a second. So she hits the end, works her way back, and she is definitely on odor here. My mistake is I made a lot of assumptions based on where I thought she had picked up, or where the odor was. So while I'm standing here, I actually could smell birch myself. That's how strong the odor was right there. And I don't normally smell odor. People will say that they smell odor, but I don't normally smell odor. And so I put way too much interest on that bench. I did try having her go the other way, but not enough to support her for searching over there. So this is a classic. My dog is on odor, but it's actually behind me. Now, one of the things that I tend to do when I'm in a novice search, and it doesn't make sense to me, is I go in this place where I start thinking about what I think it should look like. And I put myself kind of in a judge or a trainer view and not necessarily the handler of that very moment. So this is where you'll see I tried to send her out. The hide actually is right here in this brick. And unfortunately, because of the cone, I didn't have a great view of this. And again, she wasn't showing very much interest over here. And so we just didn't go back over there. So she comes out. You'll notice when she comes back this way, we see a lot more changes of behavior over here. Again, distracted by the van. So I tried kind of resetting her, letting her get a little bit of energy up and sending her back out. But at this point, I felt like we weren't really going to work. I also think this is when we got our 30-second warning. So I kind of tried to get her to do the bench again, and I just ended up calling it on the bench, which of course it wasn't located over here. So things that you want to remember. I tell my students this one all the time, and I totally did it. When your dog can't find the source over here, you probably need to spend some more time on the other side. Now, because Arya is still a novice dog and she's still learning, that's not always true, right? She could have just been struggling to source, but I would have been a lot better off spending my time on the other side of the search area. Okay. So we're going to wrap this one up and we're going to look at day 2. So we're going to look at Saturday. Saturday, we did qualify. So Saturday, I want you to see here, we also have a bit of a challenging search area. So we're working the AstroTurf over here. And on this particular day, she was very interested in the birds that she could see. So I've also changed up my plan a little bit. I've got one of her tug toys with me, so I have it ready to reward. So I'm going to send her out at the start line. And she actually did come to work odor. So the hide is right here. And she's going to go out. She's going past it. The air was blowing towards the start line, by the way. This is her checking out the bird. I'm trying to balance being patient with her and allowing her to work versus interrupting some of the behavior. So this one, I got her back over, and then she found another bird on the other side. I made a joke that it was just bird astroturf, but the reality is a lot of the grass sniffing like this is odor. So I did have a fairly good idea that the hide was near that pole. I just wasn't 100% sure where it was. So this is where I'm trying to kind of use my patience, and I'm hoping she's going to go in and source it. This is, by the way, her first time working exterior outside this weekend or in a trial. She'd never competed in exterior before in any of the venues. So right here, I did something that I normally would not recommend that somebody do. And that is I pulled out her tug and I let her know that I had it on me. I reminded her that I had it on me. I actually don't know if she knew that I had it before then. Now, normally the reason I wouldn't tell you to do this is because your dog is going to get super distracted. Like, you could potentially like call them over to you, do a couple cookie rewards, reset and send them back out. But a lot of times that switches you over to handler focus. And if you have a really toy dog like Arya, it's definitely going to switch your dog over to handler focus. But Arya and I have worked for a really long time where the reward is part of a sequence. So her tug toy, or her switchy as we call it, is part of a sequence. She knows that she needs to do the behavior in order to get the toy. I use it for a lot of different things. I use it for posing for pictures, right? We use it for different things like scent work. So it's not the first time that I've ever taken it out and been like, hey, I do have your switchy with me. Can we focus, right? So that's kind of what I was doing here. She was like, I want it right now. And that's when I told her that she had to find it in order to have it. And this is when I decided to take her around the other part a little bit. Why am I not going further out? Well, because there's no airflow over there. There's no odor information. So here she does a little bit of scratching. This was something she did throughout the weekend. So we're going to have to learn how we're going to interrupt that and support her a little bit better. Working that odor. And there it is. And here's me fumbling with the cookie or with the reward. So it's really funny because if you go back and you look here, you can see in my face that I had kind of just given up and I wasn't quite sure if we had gotten it or not. So what I find hilarious about this is somebody commented how patient I was in this search. And one of my students actually overheard that. And they came up to me later and they said, don't take this the wrong way, but I don't think you were very patient in that search. And I said, I absolutely was not very patient in that search. My nerves got the better of me for various reasons. And so when I look at this, I think I could have done so much more with my patience, but we did qualify and we are learning. So the other reason I'm sharing these with you is so that you remember that we all make mistakes and it's okay. This is how we move forward. So on her last day, she had a really great search, actually. So here's her tug reward. I made sure she got a really nice reward for that. And this is a super small search area. So you can see it's basically this basketball, this construction sign, and the cooler. That's basically it. A little bit over here. But I went ahead, sent her out. She went to the end. Notice I was a lot more patient. She comes back in, hits odor, works it, and there it is. Nice and easy for her to find it and be successful. So your big takeaway here is patience, no matter what, and to try to stay in the moment. Don't let yourself get trapped in to thinking what you believe should be going on or what you want to be going on. Remember, you're in this moment right now with this dog. And if nothing else, guys, make it fun. It's okay if you don't qualify. You're just there to have a really good time. So keep that in mind, and we'll see you next time.